Hey, it's Trey Benson with the Arizona Cardinals, and you listen to Fantasy Football Counseling.
What's up, everybody? This is Kyron Williams for the Los Angeles Rams running back, and I'm tuned in with the Fantasy Football Counselor.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the show. On the show, we got Jimmy, a.k.a. The Maverick, and we're talking top 10 fantasy football sleepers. He's got 5. I've got 5. I'm ready to dive into some sleeper talk here. Jim, welcome to the show, man. Ready to go or what?
I'm ready to go, counselor. Let's do this.
Dude, I'm so excited. Fantasy football is back. Training camp's been going. I just feel like this is it. This is the moment where it goes from like kind of off season to like full force fantasy football season. Like we're at that tipping point where we're like tipping forward and going 100 miles an hour. It's back, Tim. It's back, Jim.
It's definitely ramping up. That's for sure. And that's great. I mean, it's exciting. There's actually going to be football this weekend. There's preseason. There's going to be preseason scrimmages or something like that. That's going to be happening. I don't know. I heard.
It hasn't even hit me yet. It hasn't even hit me yet, but it'll be back before we know it. So if you are new to the channel, guys, smash it, tap it, slap it, guys. Hit the thumbs up, guys. It's very important. It really helps the algorithm push this out because we are independents. We don't have a 4-letter network behind us, and we're bringing you top-notch content. If you haven't seen how top-notch, go back and look at that Kyron Williams on the show interview a couple episodes back on the top 10 running backs. We had him on the show. We had Trey Benson on the show. I've got Tajay Spears coming on the show on Monday. Dude, I'm so excited, man. It's been great. The energy's high. And what I love as well, Jim, everybody's engaging in the comments. And what we're going to do, actually, I'm giving away tomorrow a free ticket, maybe 2, to the summit to the most engaging people. So I want you to engage. Don't go in there and type 100 times, but I just want you to be engaging. And I'm going to handpick a couple of names. We're going to do maybe a couple a week here, and we're going to handpick free tickets to the Fantasy Sports Summit. It's a virtual online conference with Kyron, Trey Benson, Pat Frymuth, and more. You can get your ticket below, but also a chance to win one just by being engaging with the show as well. Isn't that a great idea? Give away some free tickets. I think it's great.
It sounds great, counselor. Sounds awesome. And by the way, let me just correct what I was saying. First preseason game, August 8th is the first preseason game. So I misspoke. It is not happening this weekend. So
thank you for checking back on that. Okay. Also, grab the 16-round draft solution and the plus tool. Some people say, well, why do I need both? Because they're both outstanding. The solution is all my optimal picks, all the players to draft in each round, principal cheat sheet, full mock drafts. And Jim, he's also created a tool, the 16-round plus tool, guys, which is going to give you so much depth and analysis. It's an online app tool where you go in, you can see if the player's on a contract year, you can see if he's a regression player, you can see if he's a bounce back player. So much data right in front of you. Pull this app on, it's mobile friendly as well, and you get data and you can customize it to your draft. So if you're in a 12-person league, half point PPR, set it, forget it, and you've got all the optimal players laid out for you. Jim, I'm so excited, man. That's a complete package from the summit to the 16 rounds to the players on here. This is complete. That's why you guys got to smash it, tap it, hit the thumbs up, and turn on that bell. Jim, what's the energy like for you, man? Like, you're a big fantasy head. Are you starting to feel it yet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, again, I've been doing fantasy for months now at this point. I've been doing my best ball. I love that. By the way, 16 rounds plus. The tool does have a best ball mode to help you with those best ball leagues. It identifies special players that I call best ball players. Those are players that are terrible for managed leagues because they're massively inconsistent, but they're great for best ball. They get a boost, and also it just highlights different aspects that you need to focus on in best ball, which is upside and durability. Consistency doesn't matter as much. It makes modifications to player ratings and such.
All right. We've linked them all below. Let's get it, guys. All right. So let's go to Breaking Brad here, Jim. Breaking Brad, I got some news I want to talk about. I know training camp is going right now, so I want to dive into a little highlights and notes from that. So Breaking Brad, let's get it.
We now have breaking news. We now have breaking news.
Oh, God. Breaking Brad. Thank you. All right. Let's go to the first piece of news here I want to talk about here. Now, let's just spoil it for a second. He is on the sleeper list, but we're talking news. And again, if you are new to the channel, turn on that bell. We do the news at the beginning of the show. I like to do that. I remember I used to listen to other shows, not fantasy podcast, but other shows where they had a news segment. I just like the news segment. I do want to talk about this guy, Los Angeles Chargers, my old guy from last year. Okay. Quentin Johnson is going to be a problem for people. According to head coach Jim Harbaugh, I just think he got a bad rap. I look at some clips coming out of training camp last year, whatever it was, it just seemed like somebody's mind. It just seems like in somebody's mind, he was a disappointment. He hasn't been that at all in my eyes. I see big, I see fast, I see strong, I see getting stronger. I think that's a piece that's really being addressed in the offseason with Coach Ben Herbert and Quentin, just getting stronger. So basically, they're just really starting to talk him up. And I saw a catch today, Jim. It was like a body catch. He went up in the air, caught it on the body. I don't like that, man. It's like, I don't know if he's polished up. Again, I don't want to talk too much because he's one of the sleepers we'll dive into, but are you sold on this Quentin Johnson hype completely, or?
Oh, I don't listen to anything that coaches say preseason. It's all smoke show. It's all designed to distract and to mollify stuff, especially when they're talking up a specific player. I don't really listen to them. I want to see what they're doing with that player on the field, right? I want to see, is Quentin Johnson playing with the ones? Is he being targeted by Justin Herbert? This is the stuff that I care about, that matters to me. I don't care what the coach says about him. Truthfully, I don't even listen to that anymore. But don't trust what coaches say. Trust what coaches are doing with the players. That you can trust. So
okay. Indianapolis. Let's move on here. Indianapolis Colts QB Anthony Richardson will not have any limitations on his running this season. And that's another thing we were talking about, because he got hurt last year. We were wondering if Anthony Richardson was going to be limited, but are we trusting what the coaches and teams are saying? I don't know. Like, they got to somewhat limit him. They got Jonathan Taylor, but the same end, I also heard in the same breath that the coaches were saying, Jonathan Taylor is going to have a massive year. So you're saying that, he's like, Taylor's going to have a massive year, but you're also saying that Anthony Richardson is going to keep running. It's like, which one is it? Is it going to be both? Can it be both? Or is that going to limit Taylor or Richardson in the running game? I don't know. This is interesting.
I mean, the thing I wonder is who's the bigger injury risk in that backfield? They're both pretty bad. So, we now are seeing these big elite running backs getting paired with an elite rushing quarterback. You've got it with Jalen Hurts and you've got it with Lamar Jackson. So, this is obviously a thing. And again, I don't like to take running backs that play with rushing quarterbacks, because the rushing quarterback takes away the goal line, takes all the goal line work. And so it just makes me nervous. I do love Anthony Richardson. I've been more and more on board as we've been going closer to the season. The upside is so massive for this guy, and he is a huge man that is going to be nearly impossible to tackle, because he weighs like 255. I mean, he is a beast out there, and fast, and just an athletic freak. So I consider him a risky pick, but God, you can't deny that upside that he offers, man. It's exciting, and he, range of outcomes, could be the QB1 this year. That's clearly in the range of outcomes here. Of course, he could also get hurt week one and not play the rest of the season. But, you're rolling the dice to win in fantasy football. I think I'm going to have to take a chance on him in at least one of my leagues this year.
So this is why you want to listen to the news here. Bo Nix is working with first-team offense during practice. Nix is competing with Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson for the starting job, but he'll need to outperform Stidham during the preseason to win the job. I think that it's going to be a Nix-Troy Franklin connection this year because they played together in college. And so, two sleepers there for you, especially in a 2-quarterback league or a super flex. Maybe Nix on the bench, Jim. I mean, that could be an interesting combo with him and Troy Franklin, I think, this year. You never know, but I just wanted to make that note.
We know Sean Payton is a great coach, right? But he was only great with Drew Brees. Can he be great with Bo Nix? And I don't know. I mean, it's certainly something that could happen, man. I mean, I do want to see the Broncos succeed. I'm from Denver. I grew up in Denver, and I don't like it when they're terrible. So
yeah. A couple other things. Kondre Miller. Apparently he had a hamstring issue. He dropped out of practice on July 24th due to a hamstring issue, per head coach Dennis Allen, who said afterwards that it was hard to make the team when you're in the training room all the time. So I don't know, man. I'm not really a Miller guy. I'm not really a Saints running back guy for that matter. So no desire there for Miller for me.
Yeah, I mean it's hamstring issues also. These kind of injuries
linger.
They linger. They're hard to get past, and they're chronic. And so that's just the thing. Just like I'm just going to stay away from that. I'm not going anywhere near that. So.
Cortland Sutton agreed to a restructured contract that can pay him up to $15.2 million in 2024, including a $1.5 million in new incentives, according to sources. So Cortland Sutton got paid, not huge, but he got paid. $15 million, still a nice chunk of change, I would say.
Yeah, and can he be all right? I think he can. I think he probably is the one on this team. Who else is on this team? We're talking Troy Franklin, but he is still a rookie.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that Sutton is going to be in the X position, so he's going to be the primary. He should be good. I got him on my dynasty team, so I hope he's good. I hope he does good.
By the way, speaking of your dynasty, I just want to talk about that before we get to these sleepers here. So we're in a dynasty league, and Kyron is your starter. And now, ever since, I'm surprised you haven't even watched that episode yet. Go watch that episode, Jim. You're going to want to.
I was out of town, man. I've been busy. I just got back into town yesterday, so I will get to it. I will watch it.
You got to watch it, because everybody, after they watch that interview with Kyron, are more confident in drafting Kyron. And I said, Kyron, should they draft you? He goes, is an elephant heavy? He's like, duh, you should definitely draft me. So his energy is good. You got to watch you got to watch the episode. So once you watch
I will.
Okay, go back and watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. All right. Thank you, Breaking Brad. Is there any other words from Breaking Brad?
We now have breaking news.
Guess not. That's all he says. Okay, let's go to the first sleeper here. Is your guy here, Jim, is Pat Frymuth, who's also coming to the Fantasy Sports Summit. So if you've not got your ticket, get it August 21st, 7:30 from the comfort of your home. Pat Frymuth is there. So, Jim, what's your thoughts on Mr. Pat here?
Well, again, when I'm looking at these sleepers, right, these upside guys, I'm looking for, is their situation better this season than it was last season? And I think we can say unequivocally that it is absolutely better for Freiermuth this next season. First of all, he's moved up the pecking order for the receivers, right? Because Deontay Johnson's gone. So basically, Freiermuth is the number 2 on this team. He's the number 2 on an Arthur Smith team. Arthur Smith loves his tight ends. He targets his tight ends a lot. That's great. He's got an improved quarterback. He's got Russell Wilson, who is significantly better than Kenny Pickett. All right. That's a huge upgrade for this offense in general. And it's a contract year. There's so much stuff going for Freiermuth to have a fantastic season, and he's just completely getting ignored on the draft board. Yeah. Currently the tight end 13, coming off, 10th, 11th round. This is a guy you can wait on. And I love to wait on tight ends because they're not that valuable. They're the least valuable position in fantasy football. So I like to wait if I can. And this is a guy that I just want to take him in every single league I have, because if he ends up with like 100 targets, which is what he did 2 years ago, that's what he had 2 years ago, you're going to be very happy. He'll get 750, 850 yards and get a bounce back in the touchdowns, which were depressed last year because the Steelers didn't score any touchdowns. There was like 11 passing touchdowns on that team last year. So everything's looking up for Freiermuth. I love him. Bounce back. He's going to be great.
I just read this today. Check this out. New receivers coach Zach Aziani and George Pickens got into a heated exchange late in practice when Aziani, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, didn't like the way Pickens executed his assignments. Pickens didn't take kindly to Aziani's words. So a heated exchange between new receivers coach Zach and George Pickens. Again, going back to Pat Freiermuth, this could be good. You never know, right? It's going to help Pat Freiermuth's case. Who knows?
I don't think Freiermuth is going to be the one on this team, but passions are high.
Yeah, a lot of talk coming out of his training camp. It's crazy. All right.
Right.
So my first sleeper here. Now, what I did, guys, if you guys listen to my channel regularly, you know who my sleepers are, the guys I love. I did another top 10 sleeper episodes. This one I wanted to kind of mix it up, but there is a couple overlapping sleepers from this one to my other show. So I'm not going to change my tune. I'm not going to say, well, Joe, you keep saying those guys. Well, yeah, I'm not going to change my tune on particular guys just to like make a different show. So I wanted to just there's a couple guys I'm mixing you I haven't talked about, but there's also guys that you're going to hear me repeat. So let's go to my first guy here who's going to be on the show on Monday is Tyjae Spears. Okay. Listen, I love Tyjae Spears a lot. And actually having him on the show, you're gonna get to know his personality. Super nice guy, super humble, like head down, focused. Like this guy is going to have a good year, especially after talking to him. And you're gonna see it in the interview. So RB28, round 78. Listen, I'm gonna say it again. Now, if you're new to the channel again, you probably haven't heard me say this. I'm gonna say it again. But Tony Pollard was a failed backup and a failed starter. He's not a good running back. He's good. He's not outstanding. And again, they did pay Pollard, so I just see him getting his fair share of work earlier on. Now, I already heard the coach saying that, hey, we're going to kind of go with we don't know who we're going to go with. We don't have a one. If someone runs really hard, we're going to run with him. But then if the other guy runs hard, we're going to keep him. They're both going to get playing time, blah, 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 blah. Listen, Tajae's the beta, or the alpha here, okay? He is the guy that's going to get the work. He is going to be the one. I feel it. I see it. I taste it. I smell it. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the team that he's currently on. Whereas, like I said, when you look at it from a draft capital point of view, Tony Pollard was a 4th rounder by the team he's no longer on. So that being said, I think the front office is going to want to use Pollard because they did pay him quite a bit of money, but Tyjae is going to outperform him. They're going to ride the hot hand. That's another thing the coach says. They're going to probably ride the hot hand. So these guys are battling. It's a competition. Any way you slice it, dice. Now, Tyjae didn't come out and say it's a competition, blah, blah, but these guys are all thinking it. They know that somebody behind them is hungry. Now, again, ADP-wise, Pollard is coming ahead of Tyjae. And that's why I think you're sleeping on Derrick Henry's replacement, where you have 280 attempts freed up. Listen, I'm all in on Tyjae. Mind you, I have missed out on him in a couple leagues because there is a turn in around round 7 and 9. In and around those ADPs, I'm drafting one of my other sleepers in the show, and I'm drafting Trey Benson. So I end up missing Tyjae a couple of times on certain turns. But if I can get him, I got him in a couple of leagues. Love Tyjae Spears. Jim, what are your thoughts on Tyjae? Are you in on Taj?
Yeah, Tyjae, he looks like a really great value at his draft position right now. And the thing is, though, Counselor, I know you and I know how you react. You are going to be cursing up a storm every time Pollard walks onto that field. You're going to be like, what the hell's he doing out there? Get him out the field. Tyjae should be in there, especially if it's around the goal line. You're going to just be losing your brain.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why you want to do that to yourself.
Well,
that's just what it's going to be. That's the way it's going to be this season.
Hold on. Let me interrupt you for a second. First of all, he's going to be like my RB4 at best, RB5.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes, I'll be still cursing. Yes, I'll be doing Instagram and TikToks and Reels, cursing, yelling, and probably ripping my shirt off. So I'll be doing that. But at the same end, he's going to be my RB4. That being said, you're going to get the same situation, a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs in round 1 or 2 with Montgomery, because he had 13 rushing touchdowns. Montgomery did. And that's going to be people's RB1. So, hey, I'm still going to be yelling, but you're absolutely right. This is why he's a sleeper. And, I still think he's got so much upside because of the volume. And even if, he had 100 attempts with Henry there. Okay, so Pollard is no Derrick Henry. Pollard is not going to see 280 attempts. So let's split the difference. Let's split. Let's just say Pollard gets 180 attempts out of Henry's, right? So now you're at 200 attempts with Spears. Then you add the PPR upside and the receptions. He's going to be very efficient. And for the value, round 7, 8 as your RB4, if you go top heavy running back early, I think that's great value, Jim. I love Tyjae this year. I love him.
Yeah. As a flex or a bench play, I think that's great. As your RB4, I think that's fantastic as well. I'm not sure that would be a great option if you were going 0 RB and you end up, grabbing Tyjae as your number 1 or number 2 running back. That might be an issue. But again, the opportunity is there. The usage is there. I like Tennessee this year. I think they can really improve. They've really loaded that team up with offensive weapons, so that's exciting. So we'll have to see if Will Levis can make the leap, and if he can, it's going to be a very good year for Tyjae for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on to the next guy. I'm going to put you on full screen mode because I don't really want my hands involved with this guy at the moment. Because I already got a lot of flack from last year. Quentin Johnson here, wide receiver 69, round 13. Again, going back to our news, they're talking really good about him, but the body catch kind of scares me. I'm all in on Ladd McConkey, so I want to put this on record here. I do have Quentin Johnson as a deeper sleeper on one of my leagues to kind of back up and kind of hedge my bet on the Ladd McConkey pick across the board. But Quentin, which was also a sleeper, I think Ladd McConkey is going to be great, and he's still coming off a good value. But Quentin Johnson here, Jim, this is your guy here. What are your thoughts? Big sleeper I thought you disliked.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying it because I was so out on Quentin Johnson.
Yeah.
I've just been making fun of him for
Yes.
a year now. He was so terrible last year. But you just got to look at again, I'm just looking at the situation, the team situation. They basically got rid of all their pass catchers last year. They literally got rid of all of them. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, gone. 85% of Justin Herbert's targets have vacated the team. So who is still there? And yes, I love Ladd McConkey. I've taken Ladd McConkey is like my number one receiver that I've taken in all those best ball drafts I've been doing because I just really love the upside. But as a deep sleeper here, a super late player that can be an every week starter just based on the volume. I think it's a low risk play with significant upside. If he could even do okay, if he does okay, you're going to be really happy that you took him in the 13th round because who else are you going to take around that point of the draft? It's all garbage down there, right? So as a depth piece, and we're talking at this point, he's probably your 6th wide receiver or 7th wide receiver. If he doesn't work out, who cares? But the upside is that this guy could be a fantasy starter, an every week fantasy starter for your team. That's absolutely what you want out of these late round picks, these dart throws. The target's got to go somewhere. They're not going to all go to Ladd McConkey. There's other people that he has to target, and Quentin Johnson's right there. So that's why I like him.
Sounds like Jim is placing his bets on Quentin Johnson to have a better year. And Jim, speaking of placing bets, this show is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Go create an account. This is the site I play on. And listen to this, Jim. I don't know if you know this, but you can have up to $1,000 in welcome bonus here with mybookie.ag. We got a big fight coming up here. We got Bilal Muhammad versus Edwards this weekend. UFC championship fight here. It's going to be massive. So go create an account. And also for your NFL spreads every week, right? This is the site I use, mybookie.ag. The code you want to use is FFC when you create an account, guys. Go create right now. I'm also going to leave a link right here, guys, a barcode here. You can scan it. You create an account. You're all set for the season. Jim, it's going to enhance the game watching experience, right? I mean, I think it makes it more fun when you play a little bets, within your limits, right? Don't go too crazy. But
hey man, when you got $1,000 cushion from the gift that you start, that you can do some stuff with that. It gives you a lot of play time there. Yeah, and that code was it? You said FFC, Fantasy Football Counselor, FFC. That's what you want, right?
Yeah,
so,
and read the fine print, guys. It's up to $1,000. Again, you got to read it when you get on there. They're gonna walk you through it, okay, to claim your bonus. But FFC for all the perks, okay, guys. I had to give them a big plug there. Love the site. That's the site that I use. All right, my next sleeper here, Jim. Let's get right back to it here. I'm gonna talk about, and I want to sound like a broken record. I want to hammer this home. And if I'm wrong, so be it. I don't care. Keon Coleman is my next guy. Wide receiver 50. Round 8. All I got to say, the way I look at Keon Coleman is very simple. Here, okay, I want you to go into my thought process when I think of Keon Coleman, okay? I look at a guy who is an athletic freak. He is an amazing talent. And this is coming straight from Trey Benson. He said he's an athletic monster. I don't know his exact word. Go back and listen to Trey Benson. He says he's athletically gifted, okay? So he's athletically gifted. You're looking at a situation where Diggs is no longer there. 160 freed up targets, gone. No Gabe Davis, no Diggs. Who else do they got? They got Khalil Shakir. Okay. They got Curtis Samuel, who they've already come out and said he might be a running back. He might be a wide receiver. He's going to be a gadget type player. He's not going to be the wide receiver one. And then I'm watching training camp, and he's making these extraordinary catches. You can see the rapport. He's hugging Josh Allen. They're chest bumping and stuff like that. Dude, I'm so excited about him. And the way I look at it is this, again, going through my lens and how I'm viewing this, is that Diggs was a first-round pick all around. And you're telling me I can get Diggs, but a more athletic Diggs, a younger Diggs, a hungry Diggs, a personable Diggs. A guy that actually looks like a nice guy with the media. He's actually funny. People like him. The Bills are promoting him heavy. The NFL is promoting. I get a better improved Diggs, and I get him at a 7-round discount. Sign me up everywhere. And it's going to be one of those situations where it's like he has breakout week 2 or 3 or 4, or whenever he breaks out, and everyone's like, we told you, Keon Coleman, he's wide receiver 50 on the rankings. Dude, everybody's sleeping on him. So
yeah, how could he underperform that? I mean, I don't even know how he could. It's such an easy gain there that he's absolutely going to be better than the wide receiver 50. And it's great that he has this nice rapport. I think actually that was part of what happened was Josh Allen. They went to Josh Allen. They probably said, who do you want for a receiver? Who of this group do you like the best? And he's like, give me Keon Coleman. You know, I mean, and so, this is a great opportunity. And again, all those freed up targets, they got to go somewhere. And I just can't see them going to Curtis Samuel or Khalil Shakir or Dalton Kincaid. They'll get more. They're all going to get more. But someone's got to be the one. I'm not seeing any of those guys as the one. Keon Coleman's got the best shot. So yeah, I'm in on it. I do like Keon Coleman. I've taken tons of shares of him as well. Not as much as Ladd, but he's up there. I got a lot of shares of him.
Yeah, the way I look at it, some people ask me, I get this question all the time because again, they're kind of in the same around ADP, give or take, right? So you're on the turn, and some people don't want to risk going, 2 rookie wide receivers. And I understand that, right? But I just think you're going to do well with both. And I'm okay doing that. So getting both of them. But who's going to do better? I mean, nobody really knows. I think the situation is great for both of them. Maybe a little more PPR upside for Ladd, but also Keon Coleman, though, I think there's a higher ceiling. I just think bigger plays, more touchdowns. I can't wait till they hit the field. Okay. I just can't.
And the other thing with rookies is they tend to improve as the season goes on. So these are the guys that are going to really be coming into their own at the most important part of the fantasy season, which is the fantasy playoffs. And so that's great for you being able to advance, for you being able to make it to the championship game. You want guys like this that have the season to develop and then can eventually become a confident, startable asset every single week at the most critical part of the season. So.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Gus Edwards here. This is your guy. I'm going to make you a big screen because I want no part of the Gus bus. And you know what's crazy, though? I was just looking at, I don't listen. I always say this. I don't listen to too many other podcasts, but I came across one and I was listening, and then one guy, they're like, who's this year's Kyron Williams? And some guy said J.K. Dobbins. And I thought of you right away because,
oh my God.
Dobbins can't. And they're like, oh, well.
Dobbins is on the PUP right now. Okay, everybody out there. He is on PUP, physically unable to perform in training camp. So he tore his Achilles last year. This dude is not it. Dobbins is not it. And that's what I've been looking at. I've been looking at this backfield, man. Who is in this backfield? And it's Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and Kamani Vidal, who was like a 5th-round draft pick, okay? So, and we know that the style of play that Harbaugh is bringing to this team is a run-first offense. It's going to be very run-heavy, run-centric. And I'm like, okay, so who's going to take that role? Who's going to do that? Of these guys that are in this backfield, who can do it? Gus Edwards is there. He's right there. And this is a guy that he can be the workhorse. He can absolutely be the workhorse. And I'm just like looking at where he's going in the draft. I've been taking this guy all over the place because of that, because I'm like, who else is it going to be? There's nobody else that can really do it. And I have zero faith in J.K. Dobbins doing anything. I think he might even get cut before the season starts, but they don't have anybody. Well, Gus Edwards is it. He's the man. Go with it. Take him in the 9th round or the 10th round.
Couple of things.
Don't think about it.
Couple notes here on Gus Edwards. I have no stock Gus Edwards. I'm not crazy on him. I think he's a talented guy. I just don't think he's above average, when I look at running backs, I'm looking for sky's the limit, explosive, high ceiling guys. And, years 12 were not wild. Last year, decent year, right? Touchdown heavy. J.K. Dobbins, if healthy, can be viably a threat. But again, I don't trust him. Again, year swaps were not wild. And I wouldn't count out a round 5 guy, because after talking to guys like Kyren Williams, after talking to guys that have been drafted, these NFL players, these guys are hungry. They got a chip on their shoulder. And like, you take a look at Kyren in his rookie year, he never got it going. Then he had the opportunity. He really shined. So it could be a Kamani Vidal show. And also, you got to take into consideration, I think they're okay with running Gus because they have Lad McConkey, who's going to get those short passes, which I think replaces, Eckler, and he just becomes an all-around gadget guy, the PPR monster, McConkey. That's why I like McConkey so much. But yeah, I definitely, in your point of view, I do see some value here with Gus, but I just don't know what's going to happen with that backfield because I'm not sold that Gus is that good, if that makes sense. Hopefully you understand those points, but the value's there.
I think Gus can get all the goal line work on this offense. Herbert is not a running quarterback guy, right? He's a pocket passer. He does have some rushing, but not a lot. They're going to need someone to run in all. Remember what Harbaugh did in Michigan last year? Wasn't it Trey Benson that was the running back in
Blake Corum? Blake Corum,
excuse me, Blake Corum. The guy got like 25 touchdowns. It was just like, that is the role that Gus Edwards is going to take on this offense. And so, again, J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
That is career death for running backs. Every running back that I know that has torn his Achilles has never coming back and never done anything if they are able to ever get on the field again. I don't think it's going to be any difference for this guy that's never been able to not be injured. J.K. Dobbins is always injured. So, and then Kamani Vidal, maybe he can do something, but he's a day 3 pick. Your chances of becoming a starter as a day 3 pick is like 2%. Okay. I'm not willing to take that bet. I just think it's too small a bet. I'm going to go with the sure thing. I'm going to go with Gus Edwards. He's going to take it.
Listen to this. J.K. Dobbins believes special in quotation marks season coming with the Chargers. Injury-plagued Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins, who played in just 24 of the potential 73 games since Baltimore Ravens drafted him in 2020, told reporters, I think it was this week, that when healthy, he is one of the league's best running backs. He says, quote, I do think if I get the volume, I'll be one of the best in the leagues, and I've shown that. And then here's the thing, again, 24 out of 73 games for J.K. Dobbins, and you're telling me that he's going to be this year's Kyren. I don't trust that.
It's not going to happen. It's not happening, man. It's not happening. Sometimes, like last year, we were talking about Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. You're like, oh, Michael Thomas, he could do something. I'm like, he's not doing anything. And guess what? He didn't do anything. These guys, these older guys and these older players, again, years to wow us, injured all the time. He's missed 60% of his games. Forget it, man. He's not a threat. Gus Edwards is the guy. He's the guy, and get him in the 10th round. It's so cheap. Just take him. He's going to be great. And again, I got him on my dynasty league. He's going to be great this year.
All right. My next sleeper here, he was always on my radar as like a tight end sleeper later after I get my main tight end, then I back him up with this guy. But Tyler Conklin here. I know it's not a sexy pick. I know it's not like wow pick, but he has been leading the team with receptions in training camp. Like I saw a highlight video with Rodgers going to Conklin here. Okay. I take a look at that. Then I go back and I take a look at the Jets depth chart, right? I see Mike Williams, who can't stay healthy and sucks. They drafted Malachi Corley. They got Lazard. He's the top tight end on this team, and they got Breece and Braylon Allen. But Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, that's all I see. Maybe Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen, by the way, I read a report. He's looking like a veteran already. So I don't know how much truth is to that. But as a tight end value with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and we know Aaron Rodgers had Tonyan years ago, Robert Tonyan, I think it was. He's gone to his tight ends quite often in the past. So I look at a guy like Tyler Conklin as a value sleeper tight end, round 14 ADP, tight end 21. It's one of those like, why not? Especially because it gets really dicey in round 14 at tight end, Now he's going to come off a little earlier, obviously, in a tight end premium league, obviously. So again, Tyler Conklin, why not? That's how I'm looking at it. He's going to be a viable guy, but I don't think he has a massive ceiling. He's not going to give us a Laporta type season, but hey, you never know. It's Aaron Rodgers, right? You never know.
I don't know. I mean, Rodgers has never really been a guy that's focused on his tight ends. That's my first issue with Conklin. And secondly, Conklin has been like the model of consistency from a year-to-year basis. The dude gets 88 targets. That's what he gets. He gets 88 targets every year. And he does pretty well with them. I mean, well, last year he had 621 yards, no touchdowns. Not surprising with his quarterback last year.
Yeah.
But for me, Conklin is a best ball guy. This is a guy you take as your tight end 2 or your tight end 3 because he'll be really good on the weeks he scores a touchdown, and then otherwise you don't need to worry about starting him. I just can't imagine having him in a managed league and having to decide whether or not to start him on any given week because I just don't think he offers that any sort of upside. I mean, at this point, he's been in the league for 7 years. We know what he is. I just don't think there's any sort of breakout coming for Tyler Conklin. But, like I said, he should be solid, and I like him in best ball. So that's where I'm at with him.
I think he'll be more steady than you think. But yeah, lacks the ceiling, like I said it before, too. You kind of agreed with that. That's a good point. And again, once years to really wow us, we're not wowed, but I think he's going to be a safe 8 to 10 pointer kind of guy every single week, which is I'd be happy with my tight end, especially if I'm drafting him in the 14th round. I get 8 or 10 points a week, and he's kind of holding that tight end position down. I'd be okay with that. All right, next guy, I'm kind of like on the fence about. It's your guy here. I'm gonna zoom you out because I don't want to be associated with him. Mind you, I did get him in one league where I actually went 0 RB. I wanted to try it. I don't like the way it looks. I'm more of a RB heavy, top heavy guy. But Ty Chandler, he was there at the round 12 to 13. I'm like, why not? Because I don't believe in Aaron Jones. Ty Chandler, Vikings, RB 48. What are your thoughts on him to put him here on a huge top 10 sleeper list? Why is he one of your top sleepers, Ty Chandler?
Well, I see him as a risky pick, but I think that there is some upside here. He looked pretty good last year. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry. He got 3 touchdowns. And he basically supplanted Alexander Mattison. He took Alexander Mattison out. Now we've got Aaron Jones in there. Aaron Jones is like in his 30s now. The dude can't stay healthy. I have no interest in Aaron Jones just because of the risk associated with that. And I'm like, just looking at the backfield, I'm like, who else is there? And it's like, well, there is Ty Chandler there. And so again, it's a shallow, it's a shallow backfield. And there should be opportunity there. And if Aaron Jones goes down, Ty Chandler is probably someone you can start. He's probably at least a flex value if Aaron Jones misses time. So I like him as a risky pick. He is risky. Let's just call it what it is. He's not like a recommend or anything like that. But, and where he's going on the draft board, in the 12th, 13th round.
Yeah.
It's a good, solid choice. And again, I like these running backs that are playing behind an injury plagued old running back. There's a lot of them this year. But I think Ty Chandler, he showed some stuff last year. I liked what he showed in his, he got like 102 carries. So about the same as Tajay, right? And, he'll be somewhat involved in the passing game as well. So, there is some value there. So I think I'm comfortable with taking him, as my RB5. Sure, I'll take him. Yeah, he could do something.
It's going to be an interesting year at the running back position because there's a lot of phonies. I think Aaron Jones is a phony RB1. I'm not sold on him at all. He's a fake and a phony. I think Gus Edwards, like we talked about, I think he's a fake and a phony. So Kamani Vidal could really emerge there. Other fakes and phonies here. We did a show on this. I'm not really sold on Zeke Elliott, but again, I don't see anybody really emerging there. Rico Dowell, I don't think is that good. Another fake and phony is Zach Moss, maybe Chase Brown. So it's just one of those years. It's one of those years. I'm just not sold on a lot of these RB1s. I don't know if they're true RB1s. So a guy like Ty Chandler could have an opportunity. I just think he could be. I have more upside opportunity in my mind, I think, with Ty Chandler than I do with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has no business being a starter on any offense this late in his career.
I think Aaron Jones is going to come out and he's going to look pretty good for the first few games. But with guys of that age, they just can't hold up. It knocked him out very, very quickly with injuries last year, and it's like not going to be any better this year. But these veterans, there's also Austin Eckler out there. Austin Eckler's out there. These ones, and it's like, dude, these guys, I don't think they can hold up. And when it comes to, a backup, the backup to these older ones is not a bad play because they will get used if the one goes out. And so that's what you want, and that's what that can earn you points. So I like players like that.
All right, we got 3 more to go here. My next guy here is Rashid Shaheed, who's also going to be on the show in about a week or so. Wide receiver, 57, round 10 ADP. I think he has a better year this year. I think last year he was kind of getting his feet wet. I know you're not as high on him as me because you think he's just a speedster that's going to go down. He's not going to get the volume. But if you look at them compared to Olave, 5 touchdowns apiece, they matched in touchdowns. He only takes a step up this year and gets better. I think Olave round 2, I can get his counterpart who shouldn't see as much volume, obviously, but still going to be a solid 2 there. I get him in round 10. When I see people drafting Nico Collins round 2, who could be a 2 on his team, or Keenan Allen, who could be a 2 on his team, or DK Metcalf, if JSN takes a step up, could be a 2 on his team. Like, there's so many potential wide receiver 2s in that cluster mess in the early rounds I keep talking about. When I can get a solid wide receiver 2 in round 10 that's got some upside and is going to be explosive, and best ball is going to be a great best ball player. So, Jim, you're not excited about Rashid as I am, are you?
Well, I do love him for best ball. He's perfect for best ball. His consistency rating, according to my app, 1 out of 10. Okay, so this is a boom bust player.
I'm going to tell him that. No, I'm not going to tell him that, but he's going to be at the Fantasy Sports Summit on August 21st. You could tell him that,
Yeah, and last year, 75 targets. That a huge increase from his first year. His first year, he only got 34 targets, so that's a fantastic increase. But I just don't see him getting to 100 targets. I see him still under 100 targets. So again, he's a great choice for best ball. Those inconsistent players like that, boom weeks. He got 5 touchdowns. What did he have? 5 touchdowns last year? 5 touchdowns. Yeah, this is the kind of player that I love for best ball. But for a managed league, I'm not sure he's going to get enough volume that you're going to be able to trust that you could use him on a week-to-week basis. But he is a very exciting player. He's a very dynamic player, and it's clear that Derek Carr really, really likes him and trusts him. He made some astounding catches last year. So, like I said, I have him in best ball, but I just don't think I could take him in a managed league.
I just read here real quickly here that Aaron Jones is looking really fast out there, and quote, he's going to have a big year. Apparently one of the beat writers they're just talking up their guys. He looks,
it's smoke,
fast out there. I would look fast out there if I'm going against maybe who knows, who's probably going against the third string defensive guys on the Vikings. We don't know. He looks fast out there. Maybe they saw him do a sprint on the sideline. What does that even mean? He looks fast out there. Anyways, it is what it is. It's just their guys tooting their own horns. All right, Bryce Young is the next guy here. Listen, I got him as my quarterback 3 in a super flex league, and I got this gut feeling that he could be really good, because you got to understand, this guy was a first overall pick last year. This guy is no slouch. He was no slouch in college. He's a great player. He's versatile. He's mobile. He's got upgrades across everywhere, from running back to adding Jonathan Brooks to adding Deontay Johnson to drafting Xavier Legette in round 1, who, by the way, I just posted a video of Xavier Legette. Again, going back to what beat writers are saying, he could be a problem, blah, blah, blah. Again, Bryce Young, backs against the wall, man. It's you got to do something, or they're going to start looking for another guy. You drafted this guy to be your potential franchise guy, and he's QB 26-27 in fantasy. Average ADP round 14. Dude, this guy could finish top 10 if he does well. Again, no way but up from last year. There is something here, Jim. I don't know what it is, but I'm just kind of feeling Bryce Young. Why not?
Yeah, again, I've talked about this before. The coaching, Dave Canales is his coach, and Dave Canales is the guy who last year made oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
I think Baker Mayfield.
Baker, thank you.
Yeah.
Baker made Baker a top 10 quarterback. The year before, he was the quarterback's coach in Seattle when Geno Smith became a top 5 quarterback. This guy is like the quarterback whisperer. He can make bad quarterbacks good. I think he can do this with Bryce Young. It's nice that he surrounded him with talent so that he actually can do something. I mean, just remember how talent deficient that team was. Their wide receiver one, was a 33-year-old guy who was at the end of his career. I mean, so Bryce Young has upside here. And again, I like him. I love him as a 3, and I've been taking him as my 3rd quarterback in a ton of best ball. But as if maybe you don't want to spend a lot on a QB2, just grab this guy at the end, grab this guy at the very end of your draft and see what he can do. I think he could become a weekly starter for you, especially if your number 1 goes out. So that's what I see with him.
All right, before I get to my last sleeper here, join the front lines, guys. Patreon.com/FF Counselor. Join the front lines, guys. I'm going to be doing waiver wires, optimal DFS plays, everything, guys, in here, in-season community. Join the front lines right now, guys. Exclusive videos, everything you guys want to satisfy the fantasy urge. Join the front lines, patreon.com/FF Counselor. And I also do direct coaching this year. I've linked it below as well. Book your call. They're booking up fast. And I'll help you guys with any, stuff you want specifically for your draft. So many people last year, used it before I actually made it official. I just kind of put it in my story modes. I was getting DM'd a lot. A lot of people booked the call. Now you can actually book it and you can set it on the calendar and I'll give you a call via phone call. So it's going to be amazing. I want to offer that to do some one-on-ones. All right, last sleeper here is Trey Benson. Go back a couple episodes, watch the episode of me talking to Trey Benson. Again, he's going to be the one. Connor, I'm not sold on. Connor took him 7 years to rush for 1,000 yards. He was a backup to Le'Veon Bell. Benson's the guy. RB42. And it's funny, Jim, I don't know if you said you saw that episode. You watched this one with Benson. I know you missed the Kyron one, but you watched the Benson. Did you see his face when I'm like, do you know you're RB42? And he kind of went like, what? Like his eyes were like, RB42? Dude, this guy's hungry. He's a violent runner. He breaks tackles better than anybody in college last year. He was like, he's amazing at breaking tackles. Speed, 4.39. I cannot express to you enough how excited I am about Trey Benson and the value that you're getting. I mean, I understand it might be a committee, but the hot hand will win. They want to win. They got Marvin Harrison. They got Kyler back. They want to win. The Cardinals want to be an explosive offense. You're not going to do it with James Conner. So Trey Benson's the guy. I love him, Jim. Enough said about this. That's it. That's all. I love him. Just draft him. That's it. You'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's going at a great point in the draft. Round pick 105 is where he's going. And James Conner has missed 4 games in each of the past 2 seasons. He is over age 28 now. He's been in the league for like 7 or 8 seasons. This is, it's usually the death knell for these older running backs. It's another example of another older running back that's coming in as the one. And while I do expect Conner to be the one to start the season, and he'll probably start out pretty strong, these guys fade pretty quick, and his injury risk is only higher this year than it was in previous years. So there's going to be the opportunity for Trey Benson to take over this backfield and make it so just make it his backfield. I can definitely see that happening. I mean, again, he's a guy that's going to become more valuable as the season goes on, and so that's why I do like him.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that's it. If you guys are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. Hope you guys have an outstanding weekend. Again, mybookie.ag, code FFC. Go create an account right now. And I'm telling you, this is the site I use for my sports bets. It's an amazing site. We got a big UFC card this week, and you can go get your account set up, do your initial deposit up to $1,000 in welcome bonus. Amazing, guys. And you could have fun and enhance your game watching experience with the NFL all season long. Mybookie.ag, code FFC. Jim, that's it, man. Anything else you want to say to anybody?
No, I think that's it, man. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Good. We covered a lot, man. I'm excited. I'm pumped up. Fantasy football is back. We'll see you guys next video. Have a good day. Have a good weekend, for that matter. Wherever.